There he was, and here he is, the great Vin Scully. Vin, thanks for joining us. And I understand there's a little bit of house cleaning going on in terms of your memorabilia. What's going on?
Well, Neil, we're auctioning bits and pieces of my life, I guess you could put it that way, starting at the beginning of 67 years with the ball club. And what I'm trying to do, I gave it a lot of thought. And I decided to do it now while I'm still alive. We have 5 children, 16 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. So I'd like to leave some money for them for education. And I thought hard about it, and I'd rather enjoy their enjoyment that I can see than try to help them from the grave. So that's the thought behind it.
Well, neuromuscular research at UCLA, also a beneficiary from you and Sandy for your giving of this collection. Vin, was there anything that was like, I can't give that up?
No, not really, but I can turn the feeling around. The day came when the men came and were loading a truck, and I watched them bringing all kinds of things and putting it in the truck to go to Philadelphia. And all of a sudden, they came out with my golf clubs. And I used to love to play golf. And I realized at my age, I'm never gonna play golf anyway. But I watched them put those gloves, I really felt it in the air.
One thing that jumped off the page to me, Vin, was your World Series championship rings, including the one from '88, which you do have that on now?
I did.
You did? You took it?
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh.
Magic. But I'm also telling the club I need a new one.
There you go. Well, what do you think? Do you think this club can deliver you one?
Well, you know, it's so hard to win, and there's always usual problems of injuries. Today, we're all wondering and worrying about COVID-19, and the players and management are too. So it's hard to win, but this is a team good enough to win.
Another thing that jumped off the pages, Vin, was an autograph from Babe Ruth that you secured as a child. What's that story?
Well, I was in the Polo Grounds in New York. That's where I grew up in baseball. It was about 20 blocks from my grammar school. And one time, because of the CYO or the PAL, I went to a ball game to see the Giants play. And we were up there, all of us kids in right field and the upper deck. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of kids running in one direction. Well, being a kid, I wanted to find out where they were going and why. And there he was, the way you imagined him. He was wearing a camel coat and a cap. And there was the great Babe Ruth. And the kids, naturally, were all asking, Mr. Ruth, can we have your autograph? He said, just a minute, boys. Just a minute, boys. And he reached in his jacket and he took out a stack this big of business cards. They were blank on one side, and the other, there was the autograph, Babe Ruth. And I was able to get one, and I've kept it all these years. And that's gone with other pieces of my life.
You mentioned the golf clubs. We've got the Open coming at Winged Foot. You've got a little inside information, having not only played but called that tournament there before. What's your remembrances of Winged Foot?
Well, it's been a while. I think we did Winged Foot, I think my first year with CBS. So it's quite a while. I don't know whether it's changed at all. I look for Dustin Johnson to play very well. He's at the top of his game, and I'm really looking forward to it. And by the way, that's the place where I miss the crowds more, because you can substitute crowds at the other game, you know, the noise. In golf, it's always so quiet. And you may remember a few weeks ago, John Rahm, the young Spaniard, knocked in a 65-foot putt to win the tournament. He beat Dustin Johnson, who shot in a 35-foot putt. Now, in those days, the crowd would have gone crazy. But there was dead silence. I think I missed golf and the roar of the crowd more than anything that day.
How would a Vin Scully baseball game call be different with no fans at, say, Dodger Stadium?
Well, I have no idea. I've never done it without any fans. In fact, at Dodger Stadium, they average about 4 million fans per year. So if you told me to go there and do it in an empty stadium, I'd wonder what's wrong. I just don't know if I could do it.
You mentioned in an interview I read that your presidential collection was, in your estimation, top shelf. What is it, and what did it mean to you?
Well, there's pictures signed, letters signed, a tip-off on one of them. I had played golf with George Herbert Walker Bush. In fact, we played against each other in college. I tried to play center field for Fordham. He played first base, and he was captain of Yale. So we were playing, and I brought up the game, and I said to him, Mr. President, as long as you're in the White House, you can say anything you want about your golf career as a baseball player. And I said, but remember, when you come out of that, we both went 0 for 3. Well, he howled over that. A couple of days later, a box was delivered by a gentleman to the booth. And I opened it up, and there was a card. And on the card, it said, no offense about your game, but I think you could always use more balls. And there were 3 White House golf balls in the package.
Vin Scully with us. It's Hunt Auctions, huntauctions.com, September 23rd, your last day to place a bid on some of Vin's history. If you were able to auction off your Kirk Gibson call, how much would that go for?
I don't know. It would be very interesting. I'm sure in some ways people might be getting tired of hearing it. After all, it's 88's a while ago. But I just can't answer that. But thanks for the question.
88's a while ago. We've talked about how this team might stack up. Do you compare teams when you look at like this year's Dodgers to the great Dodger teams?
No, not really. Each year is a challenge for each team, no matter how much ability they have, and is also a challenge for the broadcaster to be accurate and call a good game. But no, I don't compare the games at all. And especially, you had big games in Brooklyn with wonderful teams in a small ballpark. Then you had teams playing in the Coliseum, which knocked the game lopsided, and now playing at Dodger Stadium. So there's too much differential in order to compare, I think.
At 90 plus years, Vin, you decided to jump into social media. How's that working for you?
Well, it's fun, which is the only reason I did it. I miss the fans. The day that I retired, I hung a big banner on the outside of the booth towards the fans, and it said, I'll miss you, Vin. And I meant that. I really miss them. The waiting and the laughing and whatever they would do, I would enjoy it. So this is an opportunity for me to pick up, in a sense, where we left off. I'm hoping that they'll contact me, and then if they have a question, I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability.
Well, I think I speak for many when I say we miss you, and speaking for myself, this has been a great, great honor, and I thank you, Vin Scully.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it, Neil, and hopefully I'll see you along the way.
Thank you. Vin Scully, everybody.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.